Hello, Facebook world. It's good to see you today. And I'm Pastor Steve Leydig, and I'm on here now with my good friend, Pastor Paul Begley. And we're going to be talking about some very, very interesting and urgent subjects here this morning. And before we do that, I got to apologize to our Facebook crowd. Aside from our Sunday morning services, I know it's been a long time since we've done a video like this or any extra video. But listen, I'm working on something right now. Hopefully I get it done over the next couple of weeks and get it uploaded. And it's really centered around this eclipse that's coming. So I'm up against the deadline there and what it could mean. So just, be patient with us here on the Facebook page. We're trying to get things uploaded. I've got 4 girls. They're all young. They're all in the house. It never stops between everything we got going, but we're trying to do better. So that's just some housekeeping. And we thank you for giving us a little bit of leadway there. And thank you for your grace. But today, Pastor Paul Begley is with us. And as you can see on your screen right now, Revelation 9:1-1. Now that says it all. But beyond that, we are going to be talking to you about this book that Pastor Paul has released that is literally going around the world. And I believe it's even hitting the #1 selling list, #1, on Amazon. Now, this is amazing. The interest is at an all-time high in what's happening in the world. Everyone's asking what's going to happen. What's going to happen? Well, Pastor Paul has a book right now that's going to help guide you through these end times. And we know the Bible first. We get that. We get that. Everything starts with God's word. But he's given Pastor Paul some revelation on these end time events. And I don't want to take one more second. I feel I've already taken too much. So, Pastor Paul, I want to welcome you. I want to say thank you so much for coming on to the show today. And I want to just cut you loose to just talk about anything that comes onto your heart. Obviously, this book is literally reshaping the way people are perceiving current events in the light of Bible prophecy. So talk about it, Pastor Paul. Whatever you want to do, talk about it. Let's just let the audience know what's happening here in the world right now.
Amen. Well, thank you, Pastor Steve. He's so good, and so I'm honored to be on your broadcast here today. And I want to say that you are one of the experts that endorse the book. Your forward is in here, and folks, you'll see it's inspiring, and we appreciate that. We've been blessed with this book. It hasn't even shipped yet. It ships March 26th, and it's already went #1 on Amazon in category of church and state, and also in spiritual warfare. So we don't even know how. I mean, look, I'm not an author. I never have wrote a book. I teamed up though with a really good guy, Troy Anderson, a Pulitzer Prize nominated journalist, and we took 2 years to dig out all the key issues going on in our world, in our culture, and in as prophecy is certainly, Pastor, coming together. And we cover in the book, we cover things like, we start you at ground zero. We want to take you to actually the first 9/11, which is where it kind of like the world changed, okay? And before you get to October 7th, when the world changes again, which is what happened in Israel, the world went into state of emergency mode, I think, in prophecy. And we talk about that. We're going to talk about also understanding future prophecies in the Bible. I'm going to show you 50 prophecies that were already fulfilled of the first coming of Christ. We list them in the book. I'll give you the Communist Manifesto's top 10 goals to destroy America. It's in the book. We go into the secret societies, every one of them. We dug them every one up, who they are, who the players are, what their agenda is. All of it tied to, of course, a one world government, a new world order. Of course, we're going to get all over Klaus Schwab and Noah Harari and the World Economic Forum. We talk about the vortex of evil, whether it be this coalition being formed between Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. and how that plays into the potential World War III, or what's Revelation 9:11 takes you into World War III. We just talk about the Great Reset, the green religion, the woke agenda, the cancel culture, Marxism, the breakdown of the family, the breaking of the seals, the solar eclipses, Apophis, the fallen angels, the Nephilims, the UFOs, the third temple, the red heifer, the Antichrist, we cover it all. It took us over 2 years to do it. But and I just want to say, when the Lord first spoke to me, I was taking a nap in the summer of June of 21, when the Lord came to me, and those red letters you see on the screen, Revelation 9:11, just like that, bright red and big, the sign hung over the bed in front of me. I went into a what they call an open vision.
Wow.
I don't hardly ever get those. I've only had maybe 3 of those in 40 years of ministry. But this time, as I seen this, I said, Lord, I knew it was the Lord. So I said, Lord, what is this? And I heard the voice of the Lord in my spirit say to me, it is about to happen. It's upon mankind.
Wow. Tell
the world, write the book. Okay. And so when I came out of the vision and prayed, I said, so I grabbed a Bible and I read Revelation chapter 9, verse 11, because I wanted to know, maybe that was what he was trying to say to me. And this is what the verse says. And it says in the Bible, in Revelation 9:11, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. And the 9th chapter of Revelation is a chapter that hardly ever preached about. It's about an angel coming down with a key, opening up the bottomless pit and releasing this Apollyon character, who's actually, the word Apollyon in Greek means the destroyer, and Abaddon in Hebrew is the place of destruction. So he comes out of the bottomless pit, smoke and demons like thick smoke come out with him, locusts come out with him, demonic entities, and they start inflicting upon mankind torment and woes. And then, of course, what happens is Apollyon releases 4 more fallen angels from the river Euphrates, which then creates this, what's called the 6th trumpet war. The 6th angel sounds a trumpet, and a war breaks loose that kills 1/3 of humanity, which today there's 8 billion people. So, Pastor, that would be 2.6 billion people. Now, only 250 million, I say that only 250 million died in World War II. We have not comprehended. And this is what the Lord said to me is, there is a war coming. But then Paul, in the book, write up what builds us toward that moment. What are the things, the breakdown of society, the breakdown of the economy, the breakdown of love in the church, the breakdown of humanity, the wickedness and the evil. And so that's what we do. We start to bring you into the realization that, and all of it, of course, included in all that horrible stuff and actual things you see happening in your world, is the greatest revival that man has ever seen just before the coming of Christ. And this revival will break out all over the world. And then, of course, Christ will return. And we even lead the people to the plan of salvation in the latter part of the book, the revival, the move of God, and the plan of salvation for those who read this book who may not know the Lord. So I've been telling people everywhere, buy 5 of them. Go to Amazon and order 5. And I know that's bold, and I know that's crazy, but here's why. The Lord said to me, tell them that when they read this book, they can't lay it down. When you read this book, you will want to give it to somebody. And you'll never get your book back. Just forget it. It's gone. You'll never steal it. Where'd it go? Well, I gave it to my brother-in-law. Well, he gave it to some guy he golfs with. You'll never get your book back. So order 5, keep 1 for yourself, and give the other 4 away to people you think it may change their life. They could be Christians who don't know much about prophecy, or they may be folks that aren't saved but really like to, ask a lot of questions about what's going on. This world's getting crazy, especially in this election year. So that's kind of the synopsis of the book there, sure. Pastor.
Hold that book up again. That book looks thick, Pastor Paul.
It is pretty thick. It's 230 38 pages.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty thick.
Yeah.
It took, like I said, 2 years. I wanted this book out after the Lord said, do it. Well, I wanted to get it out by the spring of 22.
Right.
But the Lord did not want me to rush this.
Right.
And it ended up being the spring of 24. And now I understand, because we are so much further into the prophetic moment.
Yeah.
And so God knew the timing. It wasn't about what I want to do. It was what he wanted done.
Right.
And so, it's a great read. It's an easy read, though. I mean, when I say easy read, it's very comprehensive, and you'll get a lot of great info, tremendous info. You'll be marking it with highlighters and Googling stuff and running back and forth. It's really a great research book for people, and I think they'll really, really be mesmerized by the information. I know I was during the research of it. It just blew me away.
Well, the book probably reads a lot the way you preach and do your YouTube videos. You're just very easy to understand. You bring it down to the common level. You have a powerful anointing, but you have a common touch. And if the book is anything like your YouTube channel and your preaching, it will be an easy read, and it'll be easy to understand, and it's going to help people navigate these times, because we're still going to be here for a little bit. I mean, we're still on the earth right now, and things are happening, and we certainly don't want to be confused. We don't want to be misled, and this book's going to be a help. As people study the Word of God and read your book, they are going to get a full picture of what's happening in the prophetic realm. Pastor Paul, what are some of the things that you've been hearing feedback, people that have been getting the book, different ones that have read it? I'm sure you're getting some testimonials, people saying, man, this has really helped clear things up. How's that been going?
Yeah, that's amazing, because Amazon or Books A Million, you can get this at Amazon or Books A Million or Barnes & Noble or Walmart or Target, or it's everywhere. Right. But none of those have shipped. But I did a book signing on Sunday at the church here in Florida, and there was 100 and some people wanted the book. I signed them all. They wanted the book, and this is only Tuesday, and by yesterday afternoon, I'm getting phone calls and texts from people saying, "Oh my God, I had no idea I thought I knew what was going on in the world. I had no idea the stuff that's coming out." So there's this first reaction is a state of shock of the reality of the emergency. Like my grandmother said, the urgency is in the emergency room.
Right.
We really are at a 911 moment. So the initial reaction is, oh my, I didn't realize this. One guy, my neighbor, he stayed up all night. He stayed up all night. And the next day, he said, I stayed up all night. I read it. I started reading at about 10 o'clock. And I didn't stop till about 4 in the morning. And he said, I'm just blown away. Can you start volume 2? So, great initially. Tremendous response within a day or so. But we'll see after it rolls out to everybody across the world. We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, Pastor Paul, I'm certainly so excited about the book and everything that has happened since you've released the book. I know you touch on a few things that are all over the news right now. I mean, the book's relevant. You have things in the book that are dominating the headlines today. And we could spend all day on this. I know this has been on and off the headlines for a while, and some things I've heard recently, I'll be honest, are quite unsettling about this. The late, great Tom Horn wrote a book about this subject. I know you touch on it in the book, but the subject of this Apophis asteroid. Pastor Paul, could you just tell us what you know about this subject? I know we only got a few minutes. We can't read the whole book, but I know it's in the book. You touch about these things in the book. Is this part of Revelation? Could this be wormwood?
Yeah. I'm really with Tom Horn on this. Tom Horn wrote a great book called The Wormwood Prophecy. I have it sitting right there. Okay, and it was part of the research for the book. Apophis. I've been studying Apophis since it first was brought out by NASA in 2004. That there was this huge rock. It's bigger than 3 football fields, headed in our direction. At that time, NASA said it was a 2.7% chance of deep impact of the Earth. In 2015, after it got closer and we got probes deeper, they recalculated and said, well, it's not going to hit us, but it is going to scrape by at 18,000 miles. Now, you have to understand the satellites that go around the Earth are at 22,000 miles. So this thing is coming inside the satellite belt into our atmosphere or stratosphere. We will see this thing. Wherever it goes over, it will be absolutely, and it's huge, and it's bringing a lot of companion rocks with it. That's the key. Will any of these wild debris hit the Earth, even if the big one misses? If it does, we could have what's called Revelation chapter 8:8, the deep impact moment where there's two deep impacts on the Earth. One hits the ocean, one hits the land, destroys a third of the ships in the sea and a third of the marine life, and a third of the people in the ships die. And it also hits the land and creates a wormwood, creates bitter radiation poisoning to the fresh waters, and many men die. That's in our Bible. It's in Revelation 8, which is before Revelation 9, actually. So, yeah, we got a, and oh, by the way, it just happens to show up on April the 13th, Friday the 13th, 2029, just before the United Nations Agenda 2030. So there's a lot of timing here. Lucifer knows what's going on. You got to understand, Lucifer knows his time is short. I mean, he knows he's running out of time. We think we got a lot more time than what we really have. And he's absolutely freaking out. He knows he's got to get as much evil done as quickly as possible. And so that people will know, we took the position, because we know there's a pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib view of the Bible, which is fine. I think it's great. I think there's been so many great authors and pastors and researchers. We took the pre-trib position for the book. Okay, so in other words, if the pre-trib rapture is the option, that is what actually is going to happen,
amen,
let us help walk you through that process.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Leaving always, of course, the door open. It could be mid or it could be post. But
I'm with you on that. I agree 100% what you're saying. I can't wait till we get to catch up on eschatology, because I my eschatology has not been sealed up tight like some. I don't have my charts in time, but I'm with you on what you have, what you just said about the pre-trib. Boy, I have been feeling with all my heart to tell people there's coming a vanishing. There's coming a disappearance. Any day, anytime, God's faithful people, those who are watching, those who are praying, as Jesus said in Luke chapter 21, they're going to be counted worthy.
That's right.
These things coming up on the earth. Let's talk about that, Pastor Paul. How much of a help could your book be in helping people who are left behind?
Oh, it will be they'll probably, the people who get left behind will probably have this as one of their manuals, saying, oh, we were warned, we were told, boy, we better read this, because now we got to figure out what we're going to do. Absolutely. I mean, David Jeremiah wrote a great book called The Disappearing.
Just bought it from my grandmother.
Okay. Yep. Great book. I have to say, David Jeremiah. I agree with him 1,000% when he starts talking about the rapture and the resurrection. They're the same event. It says that in Thessalonians anyway. It's the dead in Christ rise first. But he brought it out in such a powerful way that day, which is imminent, could be at any time, really. I mean, people ask me all the time, how much time we got left? There's no way to know that. God's way, his timing is not our timing. His ways are so much higher than our ways than the heavens are the earth. A day with the Lord's 1,000 years, 1,000 years a day. But we're definitely a minute to midnight, okay? We are definitely in the prophetic hour. And so the people who get left behind, well, first of all, will be experiencing the shock of all time. Mm-hmm. Things won't work, planes will crash, cars will wreck, people will disappear, children will be gone. You talk about chaos, a woe that like the world has never seen. Jesus called it a time of tribulation such as the world has never seen nor ever will be.
Right.
Okay, so the disappearing is going to bring about, and matter of fact, I just interviewed Pastor Mark Biltz, and I know you know him. Pastor Mark Biltz, I just interviewed him because he's so focused on the Shemitah years. He's like Jonathan Cahn. He tries to figure out, could the rapture be on the Feast of Trumpets, and I listened to his blood moons and all the signs, and he said to me, Pastor Paul, he said, look, it's coming so soon. People are not ready, and it will catch us all off guard, really. So we need to be ready, right, in our hearts and be prepared. But he said he believes that if it doesn't happen on a Shemitah year, then you have to wait 7 more years to the next Shemitah year. He does because of it, and I respect the man. He's studied this feast out so good. I don't know if he's right on that or not, but I asked him, well, when's the next Shemitah year? He said, oh, that's 2029. Just throwing that out there for you. So you got Apophis, you got it's the fall of 2029. It's very possible that we could be having this revelation crash into the earth moment, going into the fall feast, headed just before the Agenda 2030. There's a lot on the line in the next 5 years. Yeah. But there's already a lot on the line in this eclipse. Yeah. Okay? So there's another prophetic sign.
Yeah. And speaking of that, Pastor Paul, what can you tell us about how unique these eclipses? I say eclipses, as you can see on your screen. There's an X that the 2017 and the 2024 eclipse make. I mean, there's so much to talk about. Oh, and before we talk about this eclipse, I wanted to say this. The cover of your book, just going back to that for a second here, it's drawing. And this is what I want to tell somebody. And I'm programmed like this. Now, I love the Word of God. I was raised in church, so the Bible takes precedent. If I see a Bible, I read the Bible more than any book.
Yes,
and I had a friend one time, and I'll say it really the best way I can. He wasn't a church person. And he came over to my apartment. I wasn't married. I was living in a bachelor apartment. And he saw these books that I had about the end times, and he was so drawn to them because they had covers like your book has. He just was drawn to open them up and see what it said. I'm going to tell somebody, when you have something like this, I leave this stuff out. Like, I can't wait to get my hands on my copy. It's coming in the mail. I mean, you forwarded me, the footnotes or whatever that was.
Right.
But my official copy's coming in the mail. But I have this book, Pastor Parsley wrote it. It's called The Finale. And I have to sit out. It's about end times. It's an older book. I mean, it's an older book. But I left that book out on the dressers at my house, and because I wanted my kids to see it. It's got a cover on it, and I wanted them to know, hey, the rapture takes place. You have a manual. But if you leave a book like you see on your screen out right now, it will catch young people's attention. And I know this firsthand because we're doing Wednesday night Bible prophecy in the gym. We have Bible prophecy in our church gym on Wednesday nights. It has been packing out lately.
Wow.
With younger people. I mean, there's been nights there's not a seat left in the gym, and we have a screen up there. And Pastor Paul, what I wanted to ask you, I would love to do a StreamYard like this for Wednesday night where you talk to the church about the book and about what's going on, and we do that for our Wednesday night service. I think that would be awesome.
I'd love to do it. That'd be awesome, actually. That'd be really awesome.
Be that as it may, this book will catch the younger people's attention. I live in that world right now. I've got teenagers, and I know what they look at. And this cover alone is going to get them curious. So when I get a book like this, I'm going to lay it out on my dresser. I'm going to lay it out on places where the kids are because they're curious about this stuff.
Yeah. I'm not a graphic designer at all. This cover is what God showed me in the vision. So I told the people when we were putting it, I said, this is what it has to do. And I said, they said, well, what kind of a globe? You're saying you want the world? And I said, all right, I want you to go to Hal Lindsey's late great Planet Earth. Look at the globe on the front of his. His wasn't on fire. This one has to be on fire.
Right.
So in other words, I said, you have to understand where Hal Lindsey wrote it in 1971 or 72.
Right.
And sold over 100 million books, which was it. Matter of fact, Troy Anderson got saved because at the age of 11, he read the late great Planet Earth and gave his life to Jesus. So,
it was a world changer.
I mean, it's a world changer. So, but the Lord spoke to me and said, this is now that you need to understand 50 years later, we're a lot further down the road.
Right.
Matter of fact, one of the things that Hal Lindsey wrote in his book was that the river Euphrates, he said, look, folks, it's got to dry up for these demons to come out. He wrote in the book, that will take an act of God because the river Euphrates is 100 yards wide and 40 feet deep. He said, I don't see, it'll have to take an act of God. Well, today, that river Euphrates is literally dried up. You can walk across it. Okay?
Yeah.
So the act of God has happened.
It has. Things have happened. And listen, we believe in the imminent return of Christ. We believe the rapture could happen any moment. We don't know how long we got left. And it's always been like that. Before I get ahead of myself, and I'm going to make a note here because I had something that was a lead-in. But we got to get back to this eclipse real quick.
Okay.
You had a guest on your show. Pastor Paul Begley's YouTube channel has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers on YouTube, and he does daily videos. He does live videos, and most of you watching this have probably seen him, but some may have not. I encourage you just right now, go to YouTube and subscribe to that channel right now. Just hit a new screen, come back to us in a second, but get a subscription to that channel because he keeps you updated every day. It's one of my most frequented stops all week long. I use the material. If you're a pastor and you're watching this, you can watch Pastor Paul's YouTube channel because maybe you're not up on things. Well, in 30 minutes, you can get caught up with what's happening in the world, and you can tell people. So anyway, I wanted to say that, and I also wanted to talk about this eclipse. This eclipse that's coming. Pastor Paul, there's all kinds of factoids about it. Little Egypt and in the 7 years in between, but there's some other things that you just had on your broadcast, and I texted you about it, that are just amazing concerning some of the stuff about this eclipse, which is in the book. Yes. But just quickly here, how unique is this thing? This is beyond.
It's beyond unique. Okay, so you see the first one, August 21st, 2017, which happened to be my wife and Heidi and I. That was our 35th wedding anniversary. But I was in a conference, and then I was out in the field with thousands of people in Idaho in a direct path of this. It was one of the most spectacular events, 2.5 minutes of the bright sunny day at noon turning dark like midnight. I'm telling you, the spirit, it was a God moment. Okay. And so until you experience this, you'll realize God's in control of everything. And that moment if you don't believe in God, you'll believe in him right then. So this year, April 8th, I'm going to be in a conference preaching in Dallas, Texas. So on the last day of the conference, we're all going to walk out there, all the people, and stand and watch this eclipse. It's going to last 4.5 minutes. I'll be in the path. You see where first of all, when the first one went through to August 21st, that one started in Salem, Oregon, and went and exited at Salem, South Carolina. On the path, it went through 7 cities of Salem. Now, Salem represents Jerusalem. Okay? So it's a warning or a sign that had something to do with America and Jerusalem. Well, that year, 2017, President Donald Trump in December announced that Jerusalem was the capital of Israel, the eternal city of God, and said he was moving the embassy to Jerusalem. So he heard, or through God's prophetic voice here, he fulfilled a prophecy that was had not ever been fulfilled in history, and that was huge. Now you have April 8th. It starts in Eagle Pass, Texas, but it will go through 7 cities of Nineveh and 1 city of Jonah. 7 cities of Nineveh on its way out across America, out through Maine, and hits Newfoundland and Canada. Jonah was, of course, the city that God said was going to be destroyed. Told Jonah to go there and preach and tell him in 40 days I'm going to destroy the city. The day that Jonah entered into Nineveh was the June the 15th, 763 BC. It is a documented historical date of one of the strongest solar eclipses in history. It went over Nineveh, Iraq. So Jesus, they asked Jesus the question, can you tell us a sign? He said, look, there's no sign going to be given except the sign of the prophet Jonah. Okay? As Jonah was 3 days in the belly of the whale, so shall the Son of God be 3 days in the heart of the earth. So you always think of that. I always preach for that sign was the sign of the resurrection, the death, burial, and resurrection, which it is. Okay, Jonah was 3 days, Jesus was 3 days. But there was a sign. It wasn't just repentance. It wasn't just the message itself. There was a sign with the message. And oh, by the way, this eclipse, April 8th, in the Jewish calendar, is the exact same day that the plague of Egypt, the ninth plague of darkness, 3 days of darkness came over the land of Egypt when Moses was there. This eclipse will take place on the same day. I mean, you can't make that up. And it crosses in a little area there in southern Illinois of Little Egypt, it's called, because in the late 1800s there was a famine in America and people had to come out of Chicago and St. Louis and from all around to try to get food to buy because there was a lot of grain and wheat and barley there. It's also 10 miles from right where that X is in Carbondale, Illinois, there's a little town called Cairo. Just so happens to be a town called Cairo. 60 miles from there, towards St. Louis area, there is a pyramid that was built by Native Americans for some reason. Again, a link to Egypt. Also, the Southern Illinois University is in Carbondale, Illinois, and their mascot is the Salukis, which is the dog of the pharaohs. That is the mascot. That's the mascot. So, okay, and that's just a few. And oh, by the way, this year, locusts or cicadas. There's two different breeds of cicadas. One comes out of the earth every 13 years, the other one every 17 years. But the last time that both of them came out the same year was the year 1803. It hasn't happened in 224 years. It's going to happen, or 221 years. It's going to happen probably right during the eclipse. It could start just before it. It may start a little bit after, but it has to happen in the spring. And guess where those locusts are centered at? Southern Illinois. That will be the thickest. Both breeds coming out. There'll be trillions of locusts. It could be actually taking place the same time of the eclipse. That's just a few things. I could go on forever. I mean, this is an incredible event. And God is saying to America, this is your Nineveh moment. As a matter of fact, in the book, I'm going to just give you a little heads up. Troy Anderson actually interviewed Billy Graham in 2013. He got the privilege to interview him for Charisma Magazine, an article. I believe it was Charisma. And when he interviewed Billy Graham, and Billy was, way up in years, and he said, what do you see coming prophetically? And Billy said, I want you to know something. There's a Nineveh moment coming for America. It's a moment of great repentance, and if we will just heed this and make the right decision as a nation, God will bring great revival to the land. Well, he wasn't talking about this eclipse because it had nothing to do with the eclipse. He just used the term Nineveh moment. Well, that Nineveh moment, I believe, is about ready to happen in an election year that is so chaotic that where America has to choose which path are we going to take. This is an incredible, you can't make this up, moment, I think. And we talk about it in the book, but I want to share it right here with folks that it's coming up in just a few days. Now, I don't think there's going to be a major earthquake or anything. I mean, anything could happen, right? But I think God is saying, here's your moment. What are you going to do with it? He gave the city of Nineveh 40 more days. Look for some major event within the 40-day span of this eclipse. Hopefully, it's an outbreak, another Asbury revival, a breakout in our colleges and universities and schools. I don't know. Hopefully, there's a great time of repentance and crying out to God.
Yeah, that's so much, Pastor Paul, right there to think about. And we're talking to Pastor Paul Begley today about his new book, Revelation 9:1:1, and just touching briefly on some of the content in that book. I can't believe we've been going over a half hour already, and it's such a dynamic moment, to say the least, here this morning on Tri-State Ministry Center Facebook page to have Pastor Paul sharing his insight, years and years of preaching and teaching on Bible prophecy. And we're asking him some questions here today regarding the book. And I also want to touch on something and get your thoughts about this, Pastor Paul. I don't really know how to launch this, but we have seen even here where we live this year, there's something going on with the power grid. People that live around here say, what's going on? We've had lots of power outages. We've had T-Mobile, we've had Verizon, we've had AT&T, we've had some of the major cell carriers just mysteriously go out kaput. That was national. I mean, that was national. They had some kind of a glitch. Things didn't work. Facebook mysteriously didn't work. I saw where there was an international McDonald's glitch. They're calling these things glitches. They couldn't get their power stuff going, their computer, their interfaces, whatever it was. There's just so much about that. And I know this is going to probably get into conspiracy theory, but as you see here, this movie that came out, Leave the World Behind. And I do believe that the devil likes to hide things in plain sight. And it's something he's always done, predictive programming. This movie come out, talks about a cyber attack on America. We've heard that Russia has something in outer space now that might be taking out satellites, some nuclear weapon perhaps. And, you can fact check me on any of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I'll stand corrected, but I'm going off my memory. But there's something going on with the technology, the grid, almost like they're setting us up for something, or they're trying to show us. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on anything that I just said about the power grid and something maybe coming or could be coming that takes the phones out, that takes the technology out, the platforms, the social media platforms? Now TikTok, they're trying to get that with a million other things going on in the world. We're worried about TikTok. But what's happening with all this, Pastor Paul? Do you have any thoughts or theories on it?
Well, it's a great question. I did watch the movie, by the way, and it is definitely a movie that shows that what happens if today's modern world goes dark. People's hearts are already dark. They immediately go into primal mode, and there's no love, and there's no how can we all get together and work through this. It becomes dog eat dog. It's a quick change that happens within the humanity. Now, there is controversial is, could there be a binary system or a planet X or some type of a huge far distance the edge of our solar system? Could there be something that's going to disrupt the flow of to the point that it would disrupt our satellite systems and everything that goes with it, our power grids, everything goes with it? Tremendous gravitational pull. Scientists, a lot of scientists have said that there is something out there because the pull on all the planets, include all of the planets, not just Earth, and the disruption on the sun, it's becoming so massively explosive with solar flares and deep effects, which could create what's called an EMP, as you know, an electromagnetic pulse, which can fry the power grids, can disable the GPS systems. The question is there something out there? I don't know. I talk about it a lot, possibility. But I do know that God is in control. It's one thing David Wilkerson said. He said, at the end of the day, God is in control. Now, man could also be trying to sabotage.
Right.
You have the New World Order that wants to create chaos. They want to create control out of chaos. And Obama's the one that actually... this film, Leave the World Behind, was actually produced by Barack Obama, which I find that just unbelievable,
right,
that he would get involved in this. And there you go on the headline. Yesterday, Obama, not scheduled, walking down the street, walks in to 10th Street there to see the Prime Minister, Sunak. And I mean, whoever heard of that? You just don't walk in unannounced, no meeting scheduled, and spend an hour. And the question is, what was that about? What were they discussing? Is this all part of this move toward this one world government, New World Order? You know, the King Charles, some things can't be done under a queen. It has to be done under a king's decree. Certain decrees can't be done. Charles is now in position. Has he made? He's already a green religion guy. He's a climate global warming kind of guy. He's really into the climate change. He believes that man is causing all of this. I don't know what they're talking about. Are they talking about Israel? Are they talking about Gaza? Is he trying to convince the UK to stop funding the weapons to Israel along with the Americans? Chucky Schumer had just threatened Israel. Pull the plug on Israel. Okay, pull the plug on Netanyahu. Overthrow the government, which to me was the craziest statement I ever heard. So we're not sure what Obama was doing, but he's involved in this end-time chaotic scenario. And we got to keep our eyes on him. He doesn't have to be in the White House. He may have more power now than he ever had. So we are watching him close.
When the cell phones went down, I believe it was AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, they went down worldwide. Marco Rubio put out a tweet. And I tell you what, man, it was pretty harrowing. He said, I don't know the cause of the AT&T outage, but I do know it will be 100 times worse when China launches a cyber attack on America on the eve of a Taiwan invasion.
Yeah, why would you put those two together?
Pastor Paul, I just have a suspicion coming into the fall, and this is really going to get the conspiracy theorist out, but these people, and when I say people, I'm just going to label it as people, the anti-God crowd, the anti-freedom crowd, the anti-America crowd, you can figure it out, but these people, they love to hide things in plain sight, and they've been playing this game for so long. I showed the church, and I'm not going to say titles. I got to remember, as the Facebook page has grown, it goes out everywhere. Right. We had USA Today literally write about a video we put on our Facebook page on their online thing. So people are watching this stuff one way or the other. But anyway. The Simpsons. I know I'm talking about the Simpsons here on the Tri-State Ministry Center Facebook page, but they have put some crazy stuff in their cartoons, and it has came down the pike the same way it was in the cartoon years later.
Yep.
One of them was when President Trump was running for presidency. That was on the Simpsons, him coming down the escalator, giving the thumbs up, and I have my theories on all these things, but there was other things about it too that they just put on that show, and then it comes to pass. Well, there's an episode. It's episode 924. So if you're comparing that to a date, September 24th, and in that episode, Homer Simpson takes his wife down into the basement and says there's going to be the apocalypse and all these things. And as he's talking, an EMP bomb goes off and takes the power out everywhere in our country, and they're getting bug out bags. And I'm thinking to myself, now they've for whatever reason been accurate in stuff they put on that show before, mixed with all this stuff we're hearing now. Senator Rubio tweets out about the power grid going down. Obama makes this movie. A couple months later, he's meeting with the prime minister. There's just so much about the grid. I've been warning people. I've been saying, listen, you've got to have a plan to be self-sufficient here, because I don't know what's coming, but in my spirit, I'm quickened that we're going to see some major things happen, probably going down the stretch here in the fall. Do you share that feeling at all, Pastor Paul? Are you alarmed right now by, I don't even know a power grid outage or whatever, but do you sense something like that's coming?
Yes, and we wrote about it in the book. We talk about China. We talk about China is going to make a military move on Taiwan. I anticipate it either this year or no later than early next year, but certainly I think this year. If they make a move, you heard Rubio tell you, if they make a move, they'll probably do an EMP explosion over the United States and cripple
the balloon
us.
That went over a year ago. The balloon.
And we let it go. We sat and watched it. They're taking pictures of everything. They're buying up land. Chinese are buying up land near all of our major military installations. The Chinese are involved. Matter of fact, 80% of your dog food comes from now China manufacturing. And this year, more dogs and cats have died of leukemia and diseases than ever in history. Matter of fact, our little dog, little Sugar, 14 years old, she got the same kind of leukemia. Our cat died everywhere. I mean, more cats and more animals. But if these people are making the dog food, they are also now involved in making the food we eat. A lot of your meat is being bought up. A lot of your slaughterhouses in America are being bought by the Chinese. They're actually shipping the meat to China, then shipping it back, keeping the better for themselves. I mean, this is some really wild stuff going on. So, yes, I think China's going to make a move. I think that when they do, Russia may also make a move on another NATO nation in Europe. Russia's not going home. They're not going to leave. They're never going to leave Ukraine. They're never going to leave Syria. When they put their foot down and moved in there and set up an underground base under Damascus, they got a command center under Damascus. They're not leaving. Matter of fact, if you remember, the Hamas, Fatah, the PLO, and the Palestinian Authority, the four representatives who hate each other, all got together and flew to Moscow and spent 2 days with Vladimir Putin at the Kremlin, asking Russia, would you come and help us set up a new government in Gaza? Can you imagine if the Russians show up in Gaza? They would basically say, okay, there's a two-state solution. We're going to help you make it happen. This push on dividing the land of Israel is happening as we speak. So you got China maybe going to make a move on Taiwan. I think they're going to. I don't say maybe. They will. Russia will probably make a move. Maybe it's on Romania. Maybe it's Poland. Maybe it's one of the 3 Baltic states, or Moldova, which is close there. They're going to make a move. Meanwhile, you got the little dictator, Kim Jong-un. He hates the South Koreans. He hates the Japanese. And if he sees his moment, he may also. This may be and then you got the Iranians who really want to turn Hezbollah completely loose on Israel. We're at the brink of what this is why we wrote it. The demon comes out of the pit and he unleashes the 4. Oh, by the way, the river Euphrates is where these 4 demons are. The river Euphrates runs through 4 countries. Okay, it starts in Turkey, it goes through Iraq and Syria, and then ends in Iran. It's also exactly in the middle of the river Euphrates is the town or the city Babylon. And that's where it says the mother of harlots. And these demons are going to be turned loose. So now you're looking at a demonic forces of war. Jesus warned us that there'd be wars and rumors of wars. The book of Revelation tells us that there's going to be the red horse of the apocalypse of war and diseases and famines. And can you imagine if they launch another Chinese virus on us while they're doing an EMP on the phone systems and communications, while they're attacking Taiwan, while Russia's maybe dropping a tactical nuke on London, or I'm telling you, oh, by the way, we ain't even brought up the border, have we, the southern border? And how many Trojan horse fighters are getting in position now to poison the water, to do all kinds of things here in America? So it is urgency. Your recommendation to your listeners, your viewers, your church, to prepare. I remember being at your church the first time I ever went there, and you showed me all this food that you had prepared and was storing up and preparing for such a time as we're talking about. So you've been kind of ahead of the game, ahead of a lot of churches and those who understand the times.
I'll tell you, Jim Bakker's a big reason for that. He's been sounding the alarm internationally now for years, and I feel we're right on the precipice of some of the things he has seen now for the better part of a decade. Pastor Paul, we're almost where we at. We're almost an hour into this, and I could talk to you all day about things. Again, if you're just tuning in here, we're talking about Revelation 9:1:1, how the book of Revelation intersects with today's headlines. Now think about that, how the book of Revelation intersects with today's headlines. If you want to get your hands on a book to help you understand the book of Revelation, this is the book you want to get your hands on. I'm so excited about the book, and it's going all over the world right now. And that's what we're talking about here on the broadcast. And now we've been talking about many different things. Pastor Paul, I know there's so many topics in the book that we can't touch on them all. But is there one particular portion or chapter or section of the book that kind of stood out to you where you thought, man, you just got that feeling? Like if you're writing a song and you write one or two lines and you just get that feeling and think, man, this is something, right? Kind of like where you yourself, while you're writing it, are being ministered to. Like, wow. What moment was there a watershed moment for you when you were writing the book where you thought, man, I know that God's doing something here?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talk about, the fallen angels, Nephilims, UFO, great deception, a lot of these kinds of things. It's all in here. The third temple, the Antichrist, the two witnesses.
Wow.
Okay. We get into that. I think maybe it's hard for me to pick which one. I mean, we really break down this great reset for you. We really, because this really is the plan.
Talk about that, Pastor Paul.
Yeah. I mean, the World Economic Forum, during the pandemic, that's when Klaus Schwab came out and said, hey, the world needs a great reset. And, of course, his sidekick is a guy by the name of Noah Harari, which the Bible says, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming. But anyway, Noah Harari, a Jewish man, wrote a book called Sapiens, in which he said humanity is going to evolve into a transhumanism or a hybrid race, similar to the Nephilim, okay? But with technological advancements, with new bionic parts, like new eyes that can see and have night vision and all that. But the World Economic Forum, what it says is there has to be a great reset, a one world government creating a one world currency managed by a one world system. And this is the only way we're going to be able to continue to feed the populace and control the world. And so they basically are preaching Revelation 13, which is the beast kingdom that rises in the last day and controls the world by controlling the money, controlling whether or not you can have a job or not, whether you can participate in society, and you have to take the mark, or you have to have the insertion if it's a microchip. But it's not just the technology that can make that system work, because we already have it. It's the reason for it. You can have a mark of the beast system ready to go, which they do, but you got to have a reason that the whole world would stick their hand out and say, yeah, I'll take it. And that reason is probably mass chaos, lack of food, maybe right after a war, or a huge pandemic that kills not just 17 million people like COVID, but more like 1.7 billion people. Okay? And if that happens, which is a quarter of the world, so you're watching a push by the global elitists. By the way, I don't know, maybe the chapter about the secret societies, because we break down every secret society there is, who they are, what their agenda is, and it's incredible, and how it's linked to this new world order. So I guess, I don't know. I mean, the Great Reset, I'm just going to say that chapter there was so eye-opening, and we show you, all the way through this book, we show you scriptures that back up everything that's going on, so that you will know the prophecy to match the situation. So
do you think that 2020 was an important year as it pertains to the Great Reset? Do you think the year 2020 would have...
Absolutely. I believe that was the beginning of the Great... I actually think the Great Reset's already in play.
Yeah. And yes. In the end of 2019, people can find this out on their own research. They determined to put out the back quarter in 2020, and it came out in February. So to commemorate 2020, you have a back quarter. It has 2020 on it. I'm not going to say anything more about that. People can connect their own dots. But, you get into so many things in this book. Secret societies, they're real. Yes. When I talk about hiding things in plain sight and doing these things that we see on the predictive programming, there was a video game, Pastor Paul, that came out in 1999, big time video game. It's not hard to find this. You can find it on your own. I'm not going to mention the game. But when the video game Pan New York City, and you can go to YouTube right now and watch this. The towers were gone. The towers were not in the video game. So after 9/11, people started grilling the makers of this game. Why did you not put? Because the game was huge. Why weren't the towers in the game? Again, I'm just saying the devil likes to hide things, his agenda, the things that he's trying to do. He likes to hide these things in plain sight. We could talk for hours about how that work and the detail, but I just know what I've seen. And the makers of the games, they say, well, we just didn't have enough memory to put that. And I thought, now, something's not making sense here.
No.
But Pastor Paul, you talk about this kind of thing. When you're talking about secret societies and secret plans and hidden in plain sight, this book covers it all. Pastor Paul, if you had to just take a few minutes or a few seconds and just, first of all, let people know just your heart behind the book. You opened up with that, but I would love for you to close what your heart is behind the book. You've never written anything like this. I mean,
No.
you've written nothing like this.
No.
This is really on another level of anything you've ever put out in the past. And just talk a little bit about your heart concerning this book. And then if you could, just tell people where they can get it, how they can get it, and how they can follow you.
Thank you, pastors. Appreciate this. This book, I've been in ministry 40 years. And I told my wife this. I said, Heidi, this is my life's work. 40 years of preaching the gospel in little churches, anywhere and everywhere, doing all the videos and all the television and all the things we've done. This is a combination of it all. This is so God directed, and so it's so important to get the message out of the soon coming of Jesus Christ and to prove it without a shadow of a doubt that Christ is coming. It's in my heart deep, and so that's really what's behind it. And the reason is I've always been a soul winner. It's been about getting people saved. I mean, one of the greatest nights was baptizing 40 people at your church on a Wednesday night. It was incredible.
Unreal.
Unreal. It really was. I baptized 70 people in one day in Israel, in the Jordan River, which was pretty good day. But getting people to Christ, getting people to Christ. And so even in this book, we explain the plan of salvation and help people toward the end to find it. I believe there will be many people saved from the book. I just do. A lot of Christians' eyes will open. Conversation will begin. Planning and things will happen. You can get the book if you go to Amazon.com. This morning I saw it was ranked 7th in the category of church and state. If you go there and get it, it'd be a great way to do it. You can go and get it anywhere, though. It's at Books A Million. You can order it there online or Barnes & Noble or a lot of bookstores. We're shocked. Beverly Hills, there's a famous bookstore called Book Soup. They contact us. They're putting it in. Okay, that's the most liberal bookstore maybe in America. The only one that's maybe more liberal than that one is Harvard's bookstore. They're putting it in. Okay.
Well, I can tell you
I can't even understand it. I don't even know why they're doing it.
Well, it's first and foremost God's blessing, and that lends itself into people want to know. Even the world that acts like they don't want anything to do with the church, they know in their hearts something's not right, and they know the politicians don't have the answers, not the Republicans, not the Democrats. At the end of the day, they know only God, and Jesus is in their heart, they know the Bible is true. A lot of these people know it. They might not ever say it, but they know it, and they want to get their hands on something like this. And I think it transcends political boundaries, political parties, and all these things. And these people want to know what's happening in the world. I really believe that's a part of it.
I got one thing I forgot to say, and my wife reminded me of that before I came on. She said, also tell them that this Friday night I'm doing a webinar, okay? And it's powerful. It's called Apocalyptic Signs. And I brought in Mark Biltz, Mike from Around the World, Troy Anderson's going to be one of the speakers in it. I don't know. I got a bunch of great speakers.
Mike from Around the World is so good. He's on your show every week.
Yeah, he's on every week. But we've got 8 different speakers talking about apocalyptic signs. It's this Friday night, and you get the ticket for it at my website. So go to paulbegleyprophecy.com. This will be a you talk about binge watching. You won't turn Netflix on. You get this, and then Friday night you'll start watching, and you will binge watch all these different speakers talking about the apocalyptic signs of today. So that's this Friday night, paulbegleyprophecy.com, and it's a great blessing. So get that. That'll warm you up, and then the book will start shipping on the 26th of March. That'll show up at your house, and then you can continue on in your research.
Right here on our screen, you see Nancy Nichols says, I still have that pool. That is the woman that gave us the pool to do those baptisms. So I left that comment up there. He's listening today. Remember, we needed the pool.
Yeah, they brought in a pool. We baptized them in the church on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Nancy. And she still got the pool.
Oh, hey, right. Yeah, they're awesome people. God's been doing a lot of things in their lives as well, and so many comments coming in today. We want to thank everybody for listening. The good part is you'll probably be able to catch Pastor Paul live real quick when you get off here somewhere before the day or tomorrow's out. So what I'm saying is the good part is even though you've watched this, Pastor Paul, he's not like me here. I struggle getting on here every day. I don't know how he does it. My goodness.
I don't have 4 kids right now running around in soccer games. I've done that already. I did 3 boys. Okay.
He has an amazing story with his boys in basketball. AAU third in Kentucky.
That's hard to do, yeah.
AAU basketball coach, and you did it with just local kids.
Local boys, yeah.
Anyone that knows travel knows that's an accomplishment.
You know how hard that was. It was a lot of fun, and I ministered to these kids. Half the boys didn't have fathers. It was really a great time to coach my own son, but all the others, it was great. Yeah.
Where are you preaching at, Pastor Paul? What's your ministry schedule here?
Yeah, I'm every other Sunday. I'm pretty well. I'm co-pastoring in Florida, in the villages here in Florida, at Freedom Fellowship. It's under a big tent. We're building a brand new church. Wow. But we had 350 people there Sunday underneath this huge tent.
Yeah.
And the altar was lined with folks. And, it's the Villages is 160,000 people that are 55 years and older.
Oh, wow.
So this is a very mature crowd. Yeah. But they love God. They're hungry. Good. Yeah, they're great folks. And so that's where I'm at. You can, if you ever come to the Villages, you can just come to Florida on vacation. Find us. We're at
and you're Villages. Coming here in October.
Yes, October. I haven't been there in a while. It's been 3 or 4 years, I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen your new sanctuary.
Well, that's hard to believe.
I know because
I guess you
COVID hit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we just haven't got to connect, but it hasn't been for lack of trying. It's just one of them things, but we're excited to have you out this fall. It's going to be powerful. Who knows where we'll be when that rolls around.
I mean, really, you're
election
right.
year. I mean, things going on.
October surprise. I mean, we'll be there. It's unbelievable. I look forward to it.
So listen, guys, we're going to jump off here now, but this was just an hour we wanted to come on today. So many things to talk about, the excitement that's been swarming around Pastor Paul's latest release, Revelation 9:11. You see it right there on your screen. Go to Amazon, order it. The little things that we touched on today, he gets detailed about in this book. It's going to be a blessing to you. I like this one comment. They said, getting it for my grandkids. You know, we buy our grandkids so much. Well, I don't have grandkids, but I know my grandkids. I know my kids' grandparents. We buy them so much stuff. You know, you got a teenage grandkid. This book right here, catch their attention. I'm telling you, young people want to know what's going on. They want to know. Pastor Paul, do you remember those old movies, A Thief in the Night?
Oh, yes.
A Distant Thunder, Prodigal Planet. There was like 4 movies. Image of the Beast.
Image of the Beast, yes.
3 Friday nights ago, here I am in the basement of my house with a bunch of kids, and we are watching A Thief in the Night from like the 1970s.
70s. Yeah, I remember. I watched it as a kid. I was 10 years old or something.
And then my daughter gets up the next day, and she goes down in the basement, and listen, she's watching the next one.
Yep.
They listen, they know it's true. They know in their hearts there's something wrong in the world. And the Bible's true, and I'm telling you, they're hungry for this kind of revelation. And this book would be a great thing just to buy and put on their nightstand by their room.
They'll read
Trust me, they'll read it.
Yeah, because they'll see it and it will draw them. I wonder, and especially any high school kid or college kid will just eat this up. They will, even middle school, but they'll certainly, high school and college will really, they'll read it. I mean, they're reading a lot anyway. You know, so.
I can attest to it because I've seen it. John Glencoe, he just put on there, ordered book 3 minutes ago. This is one of the greatest men of God. He's taught in our church for, I don't know how many years now, seems like forever. He taught me in Sunday school when I was a kid. I tell you what, Pastor Paul, he would be a great interview for you. You would love John Glencoe. He leads Wednesday night Bible studies here at the church. He is a supercomputer of end time information. You would love this guy right here.
All right, I'm writing him down right now. I'm writing his name down right
now. John Glencoe, you would love him. So he ordered that book. I call him Commander John because of Royal Rangers and the Assemblies of God growing up. You'll love the book. And I think he's actually going to be teaching, tomorrow night he'll be teaching a revelation God has given him about the end times in the church. And Pastor Paul, we got to get you virtual on a Wednesday night here. It would be so fun.
We can do this real soon. Yeah, we can do this real soon.
And our congregation could take questions maybe, and we'll set it up where they can interact with you, and we'll talk about the book. We'll talk about the end times. Oh, it would be great. It would be great.
It'd be fun.
There's a lot of youth that come out to that, you know.
Yeah, let's promote it and tell them, and I'll after we're done here, we'll get a hold of you and send in, see what's a good Wednesday night for you, and make sure it's clear for me, and we'll make it happen.
Awesome. Awesome. Before we go, the most important thing is that you've accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. John 3:16. That's the most important thing. And if you haven't, you can do it right now. Right now, you can just say, Jesus, I know that I'm a sinner. I know that I'm in need of a Savior. I believe you died on the cross for my sins. You rose again from the dead. Come into my heart. I ask you to wash me in your blood and write my name down in the Lamb's Book of Life. And if you mean that, just a simple act of faith, he's made it so easy, children can understand and get saved. He'll save you right now, and that's the most important thing. We hope you make that decision today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to try to be more regular. I cannot make any promises because every time I think it's schedules ironing out, there's something that comes up. But we love you, and we're always on Sunday morning and Sunday night right here on Tri-State Ministry Center Facebook page. You can watch our services. If nothing else, you got 2 services a week, and we hope to see you there. Pastor Paul, thank you so much for being with us, and we got to do this again soon.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much. I look forward to that Wednesday night as well, so we'll do this.
All right, God bless. Bye for now, everybody.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you.
Wow, Kevin Sorbo, producer. Director and actor in God's Not Dead and Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist comments, Revelation 9:11 is an exhilarating ride. This book is unbelievable, a tour de force, the passion, the explosive insights into what is really happening today. I couldn't put it down. Pastor Paul Begley and Troy Anderson are prophetic voices for this generation. Anderson is amazing in his investigative analysis of things happening today, and Pastor Begley's revelations are incredible. It is, without a doubt, the prescient narrative of our time. Prepare to be captivated by the mysteries and prophecies unveiled within its pages. Get ready to embark on an unforgettable journey of spiritual insight and revelation. Don't miss out. Grab your copy of Revelation 9:11 now and delve into the depths of prophecy like never before.